It must have been really something to be the Israelites journeying through the wilderness, and Moses in Deuteronomy chapter 1 reminds them of just what a wonderful blessing God gave them, because he reminds them in chapter 1 that God's presence was there visibly with them. By day, it was a cloud, a pillar of cloud that went ahead of them and showed them exactly where they were supposed to go. And at night, it turned into a cloudy fire that did the same thing. It showed them exactly where they were supposed to go. But the reason Moses is bringing it up as he's recalling the past is because he's reminding them, he said, you saw the presence of God. You saw that God was with you. And you were still afraid. You didn't trust him. You heard what the spies said, their discouraging report, and fear got the best of you. It overwhelmed your faith. You know, in the last couple of months, since this whole pandemic started, I've heard two major frustrations related to people's faith, or to fear, depending on which way you look at it. One frustration is from people who look at others and they get frustrated that they're living in fear. They're not living with enough faith. They get frustrated at other people because their faith isn't strong enough, they say. The other major frustration is when they look in the mirror and they're frustrated with their own faith. They're frustrated because they feel afraid and they don't want to. And they tell themselves they shouldn't need to, and yet they do. Well, if the Israelites let their fear get the best of them, when the presence of God was visibly in front of them, when they could just step out of their tent and see that God himself was with them, and watch as God literally guided them through the desert and kept them safe the entire time, if they could wake up in the middle of the night when they were having a bad dream and step outside and see the presence of God there with them, if they could do those things and see that God was with them and still end up being afraid sometimes, I guess take it easy. If you happen to see anybody who happens to be afraid, you can go a little bit easy on them. If they're afraid or if you are, you don't need to be so hard on them, because it's not easy to live by faith. If it wasn't easy for the Israelites, when God even gave them extra signs to bolster their faith by really giving them things that they could see, how much harder is it for us? You can take it easy on them. But that doesn't mean you don't have to do nothing. Do you know what to do when you see somebody whose faith is a little bit lacking, whose fear is getting the best of them? Well, of course, you should yell at them and make them feel really guilty for being afraid. No, don't do that. Don't do that, serious. The best way to overcome fear is to remind people of what a great God we have, that we're allowed to have faith in. A God who sees our fear and calms the storms. A God who sees our weakness, all of it, and doesn't run away from it. He embraces it, brings it so close to his own heart that it becomes his own, and he pays the penalty for it. It's a God who's determined to be with us every step of the way, no matter what it cost him, no matter what kind of setting he would have to put himself in, which is really what Christmas is, right? It's a beautiful reminder of what God did so that we wouldn't have to be afraid. He put on human skin that he knew was one day going to be pierced, ripped, stabbed, and torn open. Why? Because he wanted you to know that you don't need to be afraid of anything ever again. Our God's love for us is that big. So is his forgiveness. So is his grace. So is his power. It is. Look at him. Think of him. Direct as many others as possible to him. And the fear faith thing, it'll just kind of take care of itself. Because as we're looking at him, then we'll remember We don't need to be afraid of anything. Rest well tonight, my friends. God is with you, and you don't need to be afraid.